Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kat. I'm new to makeup, but I still have plenty of thoughts, and so if you're wanting to hear or see my extra awesome capabilities in makeup, then feel free to stick around. But for today, we are literally just going to be talking about all the new makeup releases because there have been a ton, and I am decorated a little bit for Halloween. It's not quite here yet, and so I'm gonna have to hold off on doing a super Halloween-y look until actual Halloween, but I figured I would at least get a little bit of a witchy type look going. But let's go ahead and jump in because I already have so many thoughts on all of the things that we're gonna be talking about, and yeah, let's just jump right in. So right off the bat, I just want to jump into the new Natasha Denona palette that is going to be coming out. I think it's November 4th is when they're going to be releasing it. These initial photographs of it, I mean, beautiful. Like, all of the lilacs, the yellows looked really neon-y, and then the multichromes in the middle looked awesome. And so I was just like, this is like a multichrome dream. And since her liquid multichromes I was not as much a fan of, just because I don't like liquid eyeshadow type things as much. They tend to make my eyes sting, and so I prefer sticking just with powders. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, I want to try it. But then they came out with this second set of photographs like a couple days ago, and what the hell, man? Like, what am I even looking at? It is not the same at all. Like, all of the shades that were looking really lilac-y and purple are now looking more pinkish burgundy, and all of the really neon-y, almost lime yellow, like a combination of like yellow and green, those now just look more mustardy in color. And so I'm about as salty as someone can get. I think the only thing that would have made me more salty is if I had actually bought this and then had it in real life, and I would have been so pissed because none of the shades look the way that they looked in the promo photo. Like, what is this disparity between these shades? And then the multichromes, I think that they were trying to show on the three of them, like, what the primary shift is for each of them. But honestly, they just look really boring now. And so I'm so bummed because I had my alarm set. I was like, okay, November 4th, we are doing this. Now I'm just like, this is a pile of poop. Like, none of these shades look particularly interesting anymore, and it's just like, it looks like a typical Natasha Denona palette. Sorry, but I find most of them pretty boring. And so this to me is just, you had a thing going, Natasha, and you ruined it. But up next, let's also talk about another real weird looking palette. Huda Beauty is coming out with two different shades of naughty nude palettes. She has one lighter and one darker, and she typically does that like with her 9-pan palettes, the nude ones. She had like 3 different versions of nude, so that as your skin tone gets deeper, you could also still have a really nice nude complementary palette. And so she's doing the same thing for this naughty nude palette, which is definitely significantly larger. So this is an 18-pan palette. I think it looks really nice. The only thing that I'm a little bit curious on is what's going on with the one shade. It looks like it went bad and just turned into a big bubbly mess. I don't really know what's happening with it. It looks like a bunch of tiny little pebbles that decided to blend together like a bad science experiment, you know, like the ooze that comes out of a boiling pot of gruel. I don't know. But either way, it looks real weird. The swatch for it looked nice and had like a nice shimmer to it, but I don't know. Like, it's real weird for me. The rest of the shades, I think some of them where it looks kind of more sandy on some of their, like, you can see like darker streaks within the lighter shades. I think that's real nice and unique. And so I think overall it's a real pretty nude palette. I have no complaints about it, but I'm definitely not going to be picking it up just because Huda Beauty eyeshadows have a tendency to just do me real dirty. I will, however, say I did pick up the Haze palette that she had coming out that was the khaki one, so it had like the greens and the browns, as if we're shocked because clearly I love green of all shades. I thought that would be, I'd give it one more try with that one just because that's so much my aesthetic, where I love grungy greens, and so I wanted to try one more time to see if I could make it work. but definitely gonna hold off on getting an 18 pan palette. Waiting to see how that haze one turns out first. Okay, next up we have the Circus tent, which is from Lorac. And Lorac is typically, I haven't heard any, you know, particularly negative things about them, but this is just a super rainbowy palette with what looks like 2 highlighters along with it. And my first initial impression on this was I thought it was another Be Perfect Carnival palette, and I was like, didn't they just literally release this like a couple months ago? Because I actually have that coming because I picked up the Carnival 3 palette. And so this looks very much like the Carnival 2 and the Carnival 1 because both of those included complexion products as well as the eyeshadows. The Carnival 3 just is solely just a rainbow palette of just eyeshadows. But this one looks very, very similar to some of those earlier releases from Be Perfect. So I was real confused at first. I'm sure it's gonna be high quality, but again, since I literally just picked up the Carnival 3, I have zero need for another rainbow palette. For sure gonna pass on this one. Then next up we had Beautybay came out with another eyeshadow palette. This is the Book of Magic eyeshadow palette that they have. I honestly think it looks beautiful and I definitely already bought it. I think initially I was already interested just because of the color story. I really like the bright blues and purples that were in there. It looks beautiful. And then on top of that, I gotta be honest, I've used the Nikki Tutorials collab palette that she did with Beautybay several times now, and I'm really impressed with the quality. It's very large pan size. Pigment is definitely there, and so I was like, I'm thinking I should get this, but then I think the final nail in the coffin that really sealed the deal for me, where I was like, oh, I'm totally getting this, is that Nyqvist on her channel did recently, I want to say like a few days ago, she did a look using this palette and it was beautiful. I will make sure to link her video down below in case you guys want to see what that looked like. Perhaps also convince you guys to get it as it did for me, but it was just beautiful, and so I definitely picked it up. And I think the thing that is the best thing for me is that it was like roughly $19 to get this palette, which is super duper cheap for the quality that you're getting and for the pan size. I thought it was well worth it, so I'm not mad about that at all. Now on the flip side of being significantly less cheap and inexpensive, we have that, I'm gonna say it wrong. I feel like I always want to say Hermes and it's it's like Hermès, as my mother would point out to me, because she is definitely far more cultured than I am. But Hermès is coming out with a 24 color piano box of all of their lipsticks. I will say that I do really like the packaging that Hermès has. I think the orange with like the brownish tone of the binding on there is very sleek. I think it looks good, but I don't even want to speculate on how much that thing is gonna cost. It's probably like $1 million. Like, who can afford shit like this, right? Certainly not me. I will never ever be in that price bracket in my life, and so it's fun to look at and then just be like, well, I go about my day. But yeah, I think it's pretty. If you can afford it and you like lipsticks, have at it. I am a no on both of those accounts, so I will not be getting it. Alright, so then next up we have a collab from Lancome, and welcome yet again to my uncultured ass as I try and pronounce this. Chiara Ferragni? I don't know. But this is a pretty interesting collaboration that they did. It's an eyeshadow palette, several lipsticks, what looks like perhaps an eyeshadow pencil, and then some mascara. And I really like the shade of blue. I'm very much into like that super deep sea blue. I really like that. And I like the gold aesthetic on there as well for the packaging. But the one thing that's kind of turning me off is that eye on there. And I feel like it's like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks kind of like one of those Egyptian eye type things. I feel like it has to be coming from something. And to me, I'm getting slight Egyptian vibes, but that's probably really, really wrong. But I just don't know where it's coming from. So fun fact, that eye is actually just her logo for Chiara's stuff. So I don't like it on there. I think it looks a little bit weird because it's just literally one random eye on each of the lipsticks and the mascara. And then the cover of the eyeshadow palette is just all the eyes, like everywhere. And so I don't particularly like that. I also am just not a huge fan of Lancome in general, so not really feeling a ton of appeal to purchase it, and the eyeshadow palette especially just looks really, really boring to me. So I'm gonna pass on that, but I did like the shade of blue. So maybe if they just left it as blue with like a tinge of the gold underneath, perhaps I could have been convinced to at least attempt one of the lipsticks, but alas, they did not. Okay, then the next thing that we have, this is actually super duper interesting for me. Melt Cosmetics is doing a collaboration with Beetlejuice as the theme. It's like all the neon green and purple aesthetic you could ever want. So for Halloween, this is like, I love it. And the promo photos, super duper interesting. Really like them. It looks like it's gonna be a bunch of lipsticks, probably some glosses in there. It looks like maybe 2 eyeshadow palettes and a couple other things. But I would be super duper interested in seeing the actual color story of those eyeshadow palettes, because we haven't really seen yet what they're gonna look like. But if they actually follow the aesthetic of Beetlejuice, I'm gonna be all over that shit. Like, it's, oh, it looks so good. Let me know what you guys think, but I'm really excited for this. This is literally like the Halloween product that I've been waiting for, because the Nightmare Before Christmas products that came out, I'm trying to remember who did that collab. They could have been way better. Like, it was not at all what I was hoping or expecting to see for that, and so very disappointed. Kind of the same thing with the Hocus Pocus collab that Colourpop did about a month ago. I thought that the packaging was really, really cute, but the color story that they had for the eyeshadow palette just wasn't quite what I was hoping for. And so for this one, please don't mess it up. That would be literally like 3 strikes out there for doing collabs for Halloween where they just fucked it up. So I'm really, really hopeful that this is gonna be great. Okay, then next up we have from Juvia's Place. So I have the Walhalla 1 palette and I really, really like it. I was super excited that I was able to pick it up before they discontinued it. And now they're coming out with the Walhalla 2 palette. So if you did miss out on the first one, but you really liked the general aesthetic of it, this is similar, just with quite a few more blues on there, but I think it looks really, really pretty. It has an equal number of the matte shades to shimmers and glitters, and so I think it looks really, really pretty. Gives off the same kind of vibe packaging wise as the first one, and so I'm excited to see what people are going to be thinking about it. And so yeah, if you missed out on the first one, you're gonna have a chance at a whole nother one with the second release. So I think that's kind of cool. Plus Juvia's Place quality for their eyeshadows is just really, really good, and they're priced super reasonably. So I am really looking forward to this. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Then speaking of Colourpop from a couple of minutes ago, they are doing a collab with Star Wars. Specifically, it looks like The Mandalorian, because this is a little baby Yoda. It looks so cute, and honestly, like, as much as I'm not a huge fan of the majority of their pastel palettes, because I feel like they just all look the same, this one is spot on with the color story of having it match almost perfectly with the aesthetic of Baby Yoda. And so I am very, very excited about this one. I think it looks so cute, and I'm hoping that it's not just an eyeshadow palette. Like, I would love if they had like a whole collection, as they've been doing with these types of things in the past, but so far we've only seen an eyeshadow palette. And so I don't even care if I use the colors or not. It's just so cute to have Baby Yoda on there. But along those same lines, Colourpop is having a different release that they're also coming out with, because it wouldn't be Colourpop if they didn't have 2 releases in the same freaking week. But in this particular case, they have 3 eyeshadow palettes that they're coming out with. It's the Orante palette, Grandeur palette, and Baroque palette. So clearly going for some historical vibes on there. But the packaging, I think the type of flower that we're seeing on there is pansies. I think that's what they're called. Yeah, aesthetically, I don't really need any of these. The one kind of bluish one, I feel like you could have just picked up the Elsa palette from back in the day and gotten almost the same types of shades on there. And then the other 2 are just really boring neutral shades. So I have no reason to pick this up, but yeah, they're available. All right, now as we're starting to slowly transition from the mainstream brands into more of the indie brands, the first one we're going to see is a collab between Morphe, which is not an indie brand, it's a mainstream, but the collaboration that they're doing is with Nikita Dragon, and so her makeup company is an indie brand, obviously, so we're kind of meshing those two together, and then we're going to go straight into some indie brands here in a second, just right into it. But this one is what looks like a rainbow palette of some sort, and then a highlighter blush duo possibly, and then some of her classic lip products that she has. I mean, I think the packaging of her lip products is interesting, but none of the shades really grab me at all. The face palette thing with the two hearts on there just looks a little bit kiddish, and so I'm not really interested in that either. And then the eyeshadow palette honestly looks like a less fun version of the James Charles rainbow palette. So for me, it's not something aesthetically that I really feel like I need. Also, too many neutral shades in there for it to be like a real rainbow palette. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not particularly interested in this, and if it's anything along the same lines as Morphe's typical quality of their eyeshadows, I definitely don't need to pick it up, because I have been less than impressed with Morphe with the different shadows that I have tested out. I could do without it. Okay, next up we have from Give Me Glow Cosmetics. They finally released the shades of their Sweet and Sticky palette, and it looks definitely like cinnamon roll shades. Like you can't say that they don't look correct for matching up with the cinnamon roll theme. I think that the shimmers look really, really nice. The mattes, I think, definitely are different enough that you can create some nice looks with that. And so I think it's a nice eyeshadow palette. It looks really cute, and I have yet to hear bad things about Give Me Glow. So far, everyone that I've talked to, I don't talk to people. Everyone that I have watched on YouTube that talks about them has always been very complimentary. And so this might be a palette that I kind of want to pick up, and I think honestly those shades are really, really nice ones for coming into like the Thanksgiving time and then moving into more of the cold weather. I think it's a great fall palette, no complaints. Then next up we have from MBA Cosmetics. They released some more of their Multicrom shadows, and I definitely already bought a bunch of these. They are, as far as I'm concerned, extremely reasonably priced for multichromes. I want to say they were averaging in price between like $12 and $18 per shadow, which that's pretty average, I would say, if not on the slightly less expensive side of the scale. And these are beautiful. I mean, just the four that they have right here are already really, really nice. I think I picked out, I definitely know that I got the Luminosity one, which is the blue one, and then I think I got the bottom two shades as well, and then I got several others because they had some that are definitely more impactful. I think that these are more on the a little bit lighter scale as far as like how pow in your face they're gonna be, but they had some on their website that were just like there was this one purple shade that was just gorgeous, and then they had another one that was really, really pretty that was like a purple into a gold shift, which was really interesting. And so yeah, I went nuts. Not even sorry. But yeah, I have nothing but good things to say, and I already bought it. All right, next up we have from Unicorn Cosmetics. They are releasing their The Wicked palette, and this one is very interesting to me. It's more on the deeper shades as far as the mattes go, and so, but I really like how they like positioned everything on there. I think it's nice for what you're getting. The top and bottom row are both matte shades, and then the ones in the middle I think are like a mix of some mattes and then a lot of shimmers. And I think my favorite part is that for these split ones in the middle, that they actually have like something like a little bit of plastic separating each of the shades, because I am definitely someone where if you have them in the same pan together, it's gonna end up turning into a grayish brown mess within like a week of me using it, because I am not good at keeping the colors on their own sides. And so I really appreciate that they created like a slight barrier between the two, because then I'm far less likely to ruin the colors that are available to me. So I really like that. And then I think that the outer covering for it is just all the Halloween vibes with the skull and the lightning and the purple that's going on there. I really like that. I haven't tried anything from Unicorn Cosmetics yet, and so I think I am gonna wait until I start to see some people providing reviews on how it turned out. But if the reviews are good, I think I might pick it up because it definitely looks really interesting. So then we have 2 releases from For Art's Sake, which I've actually never heard of them before. And so this was real interesting to see these releases that they had. But the first up is 3 different sets of brushes, and being the neon lover that I am, these all look awesome to me. Just have your pick of which neon set you want to get, but they all look great to me. And they are 10-piece brush sets. They look real good to me. So I'm gonna be very interested in seeing those when they come out. And the other thing that they had released was a new eyeshadow palette. This is the Drella eyeshadow palette, and it is all neon shades, and the neon shades on there are all UV type shades. So if you have a UV light or a black light, it'll give you that nice glow when you're doing your looks. And so I know that Instagram has kind of been going nuts with all of the UV light looks that people are doing. So if you are someone that is into that type of thing, this is a great palette for you to be getting because they are all UV activated. I will not be picking this up simply because I just picked up like a shit ton of neon shades. I've got like the entire line of the loose powders from Makeup a Murder that I picked up, as well as their pressed powder palette that they have that has the neon shades. And then I also grabbed I don't remember off the top of my head what the other company was that I picked up, but I know that I just grabbed a bunch of neon shades from several different companies. It was the Terra Moon ones. There you go. See? It's all up in here. But yeah, I picked up all of the pressed powders from Terra Moons that were all the neon shades, and so I have those as well. But for anyone that is interested in this, I think it's a pretty cool looking palette. Then from Spellbound Beauty, we have another eyeshadow palette. This one is very fall-esque to me. It's the Noir eyeshadow palette, which makes sense because there are several darker shades on there. I think it looks really cool. I think for creating different smoky looks, I really like that in addition to having all of the kind of grays and silvers and blacks, that they also have a row that has the orange and the reds on there as well, because then you can create some really cool depth to those smoky looks. And so I really liked that. Plus the packaging is cool, like this exterior, like that like old school painting kind of vibe with just the plume of smoke coming up. Oh, I love that aesthetic. It's so cool. So I think I might actually be picking this one up. So, but let me know what you guys think, if it's one that you guys are interested in or not. But I love that packaging. I think it looks super cool. Next up we have from Esther Beauty Essentials, which I've also never heard of these before. It is a brand alert apparently. So they're a new brand, and they're coming out with 2 different eyeshadow palettes. The one on top is all matte shades and very much of a rainbow type palette. That is the Chameleon palette. And then the other one is the Genesis palette. That's very much a neutral type palette, and it has a mix of mattes and shimmers on there. Since it is a new brand, I'm probably gonna hold off. I think that of the 2, aesthetically, I like the Genesis palette more, just because I'm more of a fan of the circle pans than I am the square pans, and I just, for storage purposes, also I'm not a huge fan of like extra long palettes. But I think all of the shades look really, really nice, and so I'm super interested to see what other creators end up saying about them as reviews start to come in. Then we have from Lorella Cosmetics a very cool Halloween-y type palette. You have the Rebirth and Afterlife duos. So the Rebirth is more of your lighter neutral shades, and then the Afterlife is more of your darker neutral shades. And so I think the 2 of them combined could create really cool smoky looks. I think of the 2, like if you're not going to get both, because I think honestly like with this type of thing you'd probably want to get both just because it completes the collection on there. But if I were to get one over the other, I think I would probably go with the Afterlife one, just because that has some of the more deep shades on there, which I would prefer for creating a nice smoky eye. Whereas the Rebirth palette, it does have 1 or 2 darker shades on there, but not enough to where I feel like the look would actually look like much of anything. And so I would either get just the Afterlife, or I would get both of them together to combine. for some looks. But I really like the packaging. I think aesthetically it's pretty cool with how they decided to have them be coffins. Can't go wrong with that around the Halloween time. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wait, but they do look really cool packaging wise. Okay, then this next one is one that's just very true to my own heart. It's from Peachy Queen Cosmetics, and this is the That's What She Said palette. And I think That's What She Said is probably one of my favorite phrases to toss out there because I'm 12. Hi. But I think like the packaging on there is hilarious. Like with the office, oh my goodness, like the whole thing is just fantastic. And the shades honestly don't look that bad. Like there's a nice mix of like mustardy yellows and some shimmers and some purples and blues. And so I think it's not bad. I feel like just for shits and giggles, like I feel like I'm gonna pick this up just because it so much fits in with my humor. So yeah, I'm probably gonna get this. Then we have from Makeup Revolution, they're jumping on the Disney train, and so they're gonna be coming out with 3 different collections. You have the Cinderella, the Beauty and the Beast, and the Princess and the Frog. I honestly think, like, aesthetically, the packaging is super duper cute. I'm definitely getting fairy tale type vibes with it when I see it, because it's got like that old school book type packaging on the outside. And so I think it looks really, really pretty. And it looks like each of the collections is going to be inside the book. It's going to be the one side is the eyeshadow palette, and on the other side is going to be your face products. When you close it, they're both in there together. So I think that's kind of cool. I haven't seen that done yet, where it's a book that has both face products and eyeshadow products. I think that's kind of cool. And then it looks like they all have a highlighter, false eyelashes, and a lip product. So yeah, I think that the packaging is really cute. I don't know yet if I really want to pick them up or not, but I think they look really pretty. But I'm definitely gonna hold off and wait and see how they end up doing, if they're maybe in stores where I can take a look at it first before I pick it up. I think I would end up preferring that. And then from one of my absolute favorite makeup brands, Kaleidos is coming out with a new highlighter. This is the Space Age Prophecy highlighter. I mean, the promo video already for it looks super duper awesome, and it looks like it's going to have a bit of a multi-chrome type shift to it. So it's not just gonna be one color. Like the Kaleidos highlighter that I have on right now is just primarily a goldish yellow, and this one, from what I think it's going to be, from what I think they've mentioned on there, is it's going to have like a purplish into a green type shift with maybe a little bit of gold. So very cool, and I am so excited for it because I love the Kaleidos highlighters. So this is just like ha ha. But it's not out yet, so but when it comes out, this kid's gonna be picking it up. This was all the new makeup releases that I felt like kind of talking about. There are so many more, and honestly this was just from the last week. Like if I had gone back like 2 weeks, we would have been here for literally days, because there's so many new makeup releases, because I didn't even touch on the holiday releases that are coming out for like Christmas time, just because I am, as much as I love Christmas, I need to wait at least until around Thanksgiving time before I really want to settle into the Christmas vibe. So for right now, it's all about Halloween. Let's not be bringing out like holiday releases already right now. It's just too soon. And the fact that they were already having those holiday releases come out like before I had left Germany in freaking September, like what? Cut it out, companies. Let's at least give Halloween a shot, all right? It was ridiculous. But yeah, that was all the new makeup releases. Definitely anti-hauling the majority of it, but there were for sure a few on there that are really hacking into my no buy. I feel like I should just be like doing a low buy, because I'm still purchasing makeup, so the no buy has kind of set sail and isn't really a thing anymore. So, well, it's a low buy. That's what we're gonna call it from now on. But if you guys enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Toss down in the comments your thoughts on any of the makeup that I was talking about. If there's any new makeup releases that I didn't mention that you are super intrigued on and you want to know my thoughts, let me know down in the comments. And yeah, if you made it to the end of the video and you haven't subscribed, I think you should do so. I think you liked it enough. You should hit that subscribe and join my family that I have on here. I do try and put out videos at least once a week on Sundays, if not also a bonus video. Come join us, come into the fold. But this was my new makeup release video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and just go have a good one.